Hello, I'm Locke Meredith. I'd like to invite you to join me on the next Legal Lines, where my guest is East Baton Rouge Parish District Attorney Hiller Moore. Hiller's going to talk to us about COVID and how the DA's office is still responding to it. Thank goodness the courtrooms are open. They are now pursuing the very first case. It's a serial murder case. He's also going to talk to us about the opioid epidemic in America, and particularly in Baton Rouge. He's going to talk to us about the need to find a different way to take care of these folks instead of just throwing them in prison. So join us on the next Legal Lines with District Attorney Hiller Moore.
Hi, I'm Sean Fagan of Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan and Associates. Open the phone book or look online. There are plenty of lawyers to choose from. And if you ask any of them, they'll agree that the vast majority of claims settle without ever having gone to trial. And I'll tell you, any lawyer can settle a claim. It's not hard to settle a claim, but it takes hard work to get a client what he or she deserves. At Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan Associates, we have a proven record of working hard for our clients. Whether you hire us at all, give us a call.
Hello, welcome to Legal Lines. I'm Locke Meredith. I'm very pleased to have back on the show Hiller Moore. He is the East Baton Rouge Parish District Attorney. Hiller, it's great to see you.
Always good to be here.
Craziness we've been through here lately.
It's been a while.
Yep, and you guys are pushing on.
We're back in full swing, and
well, that's one of the questions I was going to ask, because I know last time we spoke, it was kind of in the middle of the COVID. All kinds of procedures and processes had to be adapted and modified.
Yep.
And y'all survived that. Apparently, did pretty decent through it all. So how are we doing now?
Really, we did a really good job, I thought, as a criminal justice community. Judges, public defender, district attorneys all came together pretty much a daily basis for a long time. Then after that, a weekly basis, trying to keep the jail population, prison population down, because they're pretty vulnerable there. And we really did. And so our jail population has remained lowest than it's ever really been for a long time. Even since then, we were not booking a lot of folks that we would normally have booked otherwise. We're kind of back to, for the most part, back to normal now, but the population has remained decreased.
Interesting.
So things are back to normal. We have a lot of catching up to do because we lost
on our side too. Yeah.
All sides, because we lost a lot of court dates.
Right.
But you know, historically, we have to also factor in the floods from 2016.
Yeah.
Where we lost a lot of time then.
Right.
And then the following year, we had such a high homicide rate, and hurricanes, all those days that you miss having to reschedule, and then COVID. And as you know, during the COVID period of time, things were not normal at all. In fact, everything was elevated. So now we really have to try to get back to what we'll call the new normal, because that won't be the old normal anymore.
Are y'all still doing Zoom? I saw Federal Judge Shelley Dick kind of continued the Zoom world on the federal side for certain types of proceedings.
To some degree, we're doing some Zoom with prisoners. Again, trying to limit the transportation, particularly prisoners that are being transported from other facilities around the state back to Baton Rouge. But I think eventually that will open up as well as the guidelines lax a little bit. So, but right now, generally, things are pretty much back to full swing.
So, question, because I've kind of, publicly and privately talked with friends, and I wonder if what we've been through because of COVID has accelerated kind of technological changes that's going to occur that basically we were forced to adapt to through COVID, and we're going to maintain. Are you seeing any of that?
Yeah, no doubt. And I think a lot of it we learned.
For the good, right?
Yeah, I think so. And a lot meetings where you now it's so easy now on Zoom. People are used to it. Where seminars on Zoom now becoming popular for us. So it cuts down your travel budget. You still learn the same amount. I think a lot of it we learned of who should you book or not. What size should the prison actually be? Because we need a new prison, as you know, from talking to the sheriff.
We can talk about that for
years. And so I think we learned a lot of things that hopefully we're going to benefit from the future.
Well, that's good news. So, in your world, your job is to take the folks who have committed crimes and been charged to prosecute them through trial or to reach some type of agreement where they suffer some consequence for the behavior. And of course, the police have to initially collect that evidence for you, and then y'all have to dive in. How is that process going?
It's pretty much the same. We're back to somewhat normal now, but the volume
How's staffing?
I mean, we are consistent, I guess. We've been down for some time. We have saved money by not hiring staff for years, and now we're trying to get back to where we were years ago, but we're still understaffed for the work that we have to do statutorily and just the volume of cases that we have to do. And now things are so difficult case-wise compared to in the past where you were able to read a report and you went to court. Now it's body camera, it's DNA, it's cell phone, it's computers, it's social media.
So another whole just layer of data that you've got to review.
Completely, and educating lawyers how to become social media experts, cell phone experts.
No, yeah, I understand.
And also with that, in that regard, we also have a Brady obligation, as you know, to provide favorable information for defendants. So we also have to know what we're looking for to own up to our obligations to give potentially favorable information to a defendant. So yeah, things have changed drastically and very quickly. And now we have a bigger learning curve, particularly with regard to digital and data evidence.
Right.
And
it's overwhelming, honestly.
We are actually applying for the first ever nationwide grant with the help of a lot of other DAs around the country for Louisiana as a state for DAs to be trained in digital evidence. And we hopefully going to receive that grant.
Because that's a whole brave new world there.
Completely.
It's interesting.
I mean, you may have one or two people in your office that are familiar with that, but when you have 50, 60 lawyers,
right,
they all have to know that.
And so, you know, my recall was the caseload of your guys have to go in and prosecute these cases are pretty daggum high.
Sure. I mean, you know, you take your office, which is a very good, successful office with a lot of clients, and you know, you want clients in your business, but you take the ones you can handle. You don't want to overload yourself. We don't have the luxury of saying, I'm not taking a case in.
Right.
To some extent, we dismiss some cases, but our guys have hundreds of cases each, and you can imagine what type of work are you doing for your client if you yourself had 200 or 300 or 400 cases stemming from the biggest case you have with an 18-wheeler wreck versus slip and fall. Who gets what attention when? And it's tough operating those.
And you're in the middle of a big trial right now.
Yep, we have a first-degree murder trial going on, first this year, first in a long time, really.
Because the courts shut down
courts
trials.
have been closed, and actually, judges doing a really good job selecting the jury. The jurors are in the jury box. Everyone's wearing a mask unless they're speaking, and so I think we're proving that it can be done. And
is this the first trial?
This is the first trial.
Excellent.
So it'll be a 2-week trial. It'll be a long time. But we're ready to go forward, and we have a lot of cases to move.
So any shot, I mean, I know Mayor Sharon Broome is supporting y'all, but is there a shot at getting more funds somehow from the grants, the feds, the states, or from the mayor to kind of fill in the need?
We're always applying for grants. We're always asking the mayor for money, but you know, everyone's asking the mayor and the city council for money. So you know, it's tough. So grants are a year, 2 years, 3 years. Then you have to try to find the money.
So it's almost like one-time money.
So one-time money for the most part. So we're trying to find the money that's we're going to know is always there, which is always very tough to do. And if we ask for money, more funding, public defender wants more staff, more money, judges want more staff, more money. So it can't be lopsided. It has to be really consistent.
Interesting. Uniform to make the whole system work instead of just your part.
Yep.
How is the community participation taking? Last several shows back, you were talking about the kind of the cameras that folks could put on site and give y'all access to.
Still working on
other stuff.
Yeah, still working on that aspect of the camera and getting that portal
all set up. Is it still going on?
Still going on, but we need to figure things in-house first, of how we're going to obtain that. But I think that's something that we're going to really look at in the future. You know, community support is always good. We have a lot of good leaders here in Baton Rouge that really help us. COVID has really cut down a lot of interaction. So we're ready to open up again and start back again our weekly, monthly walks through the neighborhoods where high crime has occurred.
Right.
And we've been missing that a lot.
I actually noticed it. Well, I'll tell you what, we'll continue this on the next segment. This is Locke Meredith with Legal Lines. My very special guest, Hillary Moore, District Attorney, East Baton Rouge Parish. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Mitchell Meredith. Injuries happen when you least expect them to, making your life more complicated. At Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan and Associates, we know this and we strive to help each of our clients during these times. Whether you hire us at all, give us a call at 272-5555.
I'm lawyer Collins Locke Meredith. Trust is important when hiring an injury law firm. At Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan Associates, thousands have trusted us and gotten the results they deserved. Visit us at LockeMeredith.com. Whether you hire us at all, give us a call, 272-5555.
Welcome back to Legal Lines. I'm Locke Meredith. Again, pleased to have back on the show Hiller Moore. He is the district attorney for East Baton Rouge Parish. Let's dive back in, Hiller.
Yeah.
So, kind of got an update on where we are as far as kind of prosecuting stuff. Give me the good, the bad, and the ugly. Let's start with the ugly because, you know, I'm reading stuff that sounds like homicides are not going in the right direction, and I presume that means other stuff too, but you educate us.
Yeah, unfortunately, probably I'll give you the good and the ugly. I'm not sure about the good right now, other than really, let's start with the good. I mean, the good is that people don't really see that I get to see every day, and that's why I really love the job that I have, is the people that we have working for us. Police, sheriff, court personnel,
Amen.
Public defenders, DAs, you name it, coroners. I mean, these are hard-working people, just regular folks. You know, from time to time, I'm sure we mess up. You'll see it. Some of us get arrested. Some do things that we shouldn't do.
There's bad apples in every profession.
But absolute vast majority, overwhelming majority of all the people, they're working their tails off, and they're really frustrated right now by things beyond their control and things that are happening. So we get to the bad and the ugly, and yeah, although we have flipped the calendar, which everyone wanted.
Right.
They want to get rid of 2020 T-shirts. They wanted 2021 to come, and I surely wanted 2021 to come. But although I think we've flipped that calendar, we haven't flipped the switch. And unfortunately, things really have continued and probably gotten even a little bit worse in the first quarter with regard to homicide, with regard to non-fatal shootings, that is a bullet to a body, with regard to domestic violence homicides, and unfortunately with regard to people taking their own life by accident with fentanyl, heroin, opioid-related cases, and it's just not good.
You got stats for me?
Yeah, unfortunately. So last year, you know, we ended the year with 118, 119
Which was
homicides.
a historical high, right?
It was a historical high. It kind of rivaled the 2017 year, which is 103. And during 2017, we were at 103. There were 14 domestic violence murders, 4 of which were domestic violence, homicide, suicide. Fast forward to 2020, we had 118, and we had 19 domestic violence, intimate partner-related homicides. That's a big number for a community our size. But normally you see that, and we kind of predicted it in March when we all met, that you're going to see an increase in domestic violence. And unfortunately, we think we're going to see an increase in domestic intimate partner homicides, and unfortunately we did. And that's a big number to have.
People just trapped together and can't get out.
People trapped, and they're trapped at home with someone supposed to love them and care for them, and that's who their abuser is.
Right.
And there's no line out, you know, to help others. You're not going to work so someone can't see your bruise. They can't see your child who's been beaten up. You know, you're trapped at home with your cell phone at your lifeline out, and that's what that abuser looks at.
Right.
Who are you talking to? So now here in 2021, we're already at 40 homicides, and we're not through April yet. So that's a quarter almost, and we still have a long way to go. Non-fatals have almost doubled, I believe, since last year. And really what we're startling right now is that at this point, early on in this year, we have 15 domestic violence, intimate partner-related deaths already. Many of those, though, women have also killed their abuser, breaking through the door, trying to abuse them, having abused them, then defending himself.
Kind of hard to be mad at them, honestly.
Absolutely. I mean, they've taken things in their own hand. Police can't get there quick enough, obviously, tired of being beaten. You know, another really big bad number is opioids. We have 43 confirmed opioid-related deaths so far. As you remember, it takes so long to really verify how you died, and we're missing 33. So we're at least 43,
Wow. So
more than likely 33 more. So
good gosh.
76, 78, depending on the numbers, if I'm close on those numbers.
It's almost twice as much as murders.
So it's correct. And so same thing we saw last year. So last year with 118, 19 murders, we had 240 opioid-related deaths. Now you're already at 76 to 78. So we're not on a good track, again, for either one of those. Things can change. Summertimes are always our tough months. Kids are out of school. That's when you start doing COVID.
Right, I was going to say prolonged summer.
Folks are out on the street, or people are at home because they're not getting out much. We saw a lot of daytime shootings. We saw a lot of daytime killings.
Talk about that. It's remarkable. I remember you, several years ago saying if people actually knew how many guns were fired in East Baton Rouge Parish, you would just couldn't believe it.
Yeah, I mean, the number of shots fired it's in the thousands of shooting instances.
Because you have that technology that hears it.
We have the technology, but it's only in 10, 12 square miles area, so we're missing a whole lot.
All the others.
So there's a lot that we're missing, but they're in places where you would expect more shooting. So that we really need to focus on the non-fatal shootings, because a death, homicide means you were a good shot or a lucky shot, or you were far away from a hospital, or you were close. Non-fatals are that it's just something we need to look at, because that should be our baseline of not who's lucky enough or unlucky enough to have had a...
Who got shot.
Correct.
Who put out a gun and
close
tried
enough to a doctor or
right.
close to EMS. So that's something we're tracking, and I know the chief and the sheriff track that often.
Or those numbers are also going up.
Those numbers have gone up. So we're looking at those. Just like and look, again, for everyone that's looking, we talk to our counterparts all across the nation. They're seeing exactly what we're seeing. And it's no different whatsoever, whether it's opioids, non-fatal shootings, homicides, daytime shootings, everyone's seeing the same thing. And I would expect that years from now, all the researchers and the social scientists are going to have studied this, try to figure out why.
Well, that was my next question.
What's happening?
What's causing all of this increase in violence so severe that you could kill another human being?
I mean, I think there's a lot of angst going on, a lot of depression, a lot of issues, a lot of drug dealing. Drugs drive what we do. You have kids that are feuding each other in these groups or gangs. They're not in school anymore. They're out on the street. There's not a lot of eyes out on the street. Police have been pulled away for other things. I know that city police is probably down around 90 officers. That's a big number.
I didn't realize
They have not eyes on the street again. And they have all the specialized unit that I'm sure the chief and the mayor would want to have. So I think all of that stuff kind of factors into this. Also, we're not able to do outreach like we have been because of COVID. The guys that we arrested are not going to jail because of COVID in the past. They're not seeing a judge very quickly. So when are you going to get to me? Slap on the hand is very late. It's delayed. So I think a lot of that. But
so any timeline when you would expect that to start to stop happening?
Yeah, in 2021, but it hadn't. But now, yes, now. So, but that's why everyone's frustrated, because they're working their tails off. And
so are the feds and the state folks, y'all are still doing all the coordination,
Absolutely.
but you just can't put
Daily.
the bodies out, the
It's
boots
daily.
on the ground.
It's daily. But so my point is, I guess, is that look, we can blame all we want to on COVID and whatever you want to blame it on.
Right.
But it comes down to individuals making a choice. It comes down to your family, your mom and dad, knowing what you are doing as a young
Right.
man.
Agreed.
Why do you have a gun? Or do you belong to a gang? Are you going to school? Who are you hanging out with? And then being a mom or dad and not being a friend. And that's where we really need to look at, cast a lot of blame, because a lot of folks know what's going on and say nothing, but they're also afraid of their house being shot. So,
all right, well, we'll pick this up on the next segment. This is Locke Meredith Legalized. My very special guest, Hillary Moore. We'll be right back. I'm lawyer Locke Meredith. If you're battling an insurance company because of a wreck not your fault and they're not calling you back or being fair, whether you hire us at all, give us a call, 272-5555, or email Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan and Associates. You have nothing to lose.
Hi, I'm Sean Fagan of Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan and Associates. When insurance companies have been unfair, we've never been afraid to go to trial. Fighting hard to protect your rights, we never settle a case out of convenience. We only settle when it's right for you. Whether you hire us at all, give us a call.
Hi, I'm Mitchell Meredith. Injuries happen when you least expect them to, making your life more complicated. At Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan and Associates, we know this and we strive to help each of our clients during these times. Whether you hire us at all, give us a call at 272-5555.
I'm lawyer Locke Meredith. Trust is important when hiring an injury law firm. At Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan Associates, thousands have trusted us and gotten the results they deserved. Visit us at LockeMeredith.com. Whether you hire us at all, give us a call, 272-5555.
Welcome back to Legal Lines. I'm Locke Meredith. I'm again very pleased to have on the show Hillary Moore. He is the East Baton Rouge Parish District Attorney. Hillary, we were talking about kind of the violent crimes and the bad statistics, actually, and we look like we're going to go at another historical high at this rate. Let's shift gears a little bit. What about you were talking about the drug abuse and how it plays such a huge part in the life of criminals or why crimes are committed.
Right.
Tell me what's going on in that work, because I was reading the report that you gave me where folks got together on all sides and were trying to figure out how do we fix this, because throwing people in jail when they're really ill doesn't fix them, probably makes them worse.
See, that's a good question. It's a hard answer. So I know in our system, prosecutors, police get blamed a lot for putting nonviolent offenders in jail that are just hooked on drugs. And that happens, I'm sure, where people are arrested for felony grade drugs and they go to jail. Oftentimes they stay there too long. But make no mistake about it, that drug dealing is a violent activity, because drug dealing comes with guns. And you have it's like a business. You're fighting another business competitor, but you're fighting around illegal drugs and gangs and groups and guns. And so it is very, very difficult and dangerous stuff. So that non-violent person that you may put in, that person you may put in jail for felony possession of drugs, although he may be there for felony grade cocaine or heroin, we also know that that person is a drug dealer.
Got it.
That person deals drugs or
And is
guns,
violent, I guess.
and is violent, because we know it is history. But when you look at him in jail as a number, but he's not, he's a person, he's there as a non-violent offender. And so a lot of people overlook that.
So is that so that designation as nonviolent is only based on that single charge,
Correct.
not on past history
And
or
that's
charges
correct.
or convictions?
And that's where the rub comes.
That's crazy.
Well, but you have to look at a deep dive, because when you look at data, what's he in jail for? He's in jail for a felony drug offense. Well, why do you have him in jail, Mr. DA? He's just there with a little bit of heroin or cocaine. Well, you don't know the backstory. And to get the backstory, you have to pull files and look at it and explain it. When you do that data, they don't do that when they look at stats and numbers, and we have to try to correct that.
Okay.
And we're not funded to go back and correct that improper data, which is being looked at the wrong way, but it's very difficult. So surely someone who's just a drug user and has a drug problem, that's the guy you want to help. Whether he gets put in jail or not, can we find a way to divert him, and as opposed to arresting him? If he's just a user, surely you want to find that way, and we need to do a better job finding that. But it's the ones that are caught with drugs that also have guns, or maybe not caught at that time with the gun, but they are a violent offender. That guy is going to get our attention because we know what we know and what he does, although that case may be just a non-violent drug offense.
So how do you determine if someone is just a drug user and not a violent person?
Well,
I guess it's one-on-one action and getting history along.
Well, fortunately, we have data and history.
Right.
And so we see when someone comes in, we look at their history, we look at whatever intelligence we have. We know whether they belong to a group or a gang. We know whether they've been caught with a gun before. Has that gun been associated with a shooting? Are we looking at that person as a potential shooter? And so we have different ways that we do that. And we try to get those that are just a user versus those that we know are dangerous people, get those folks the attention, try to get rid of the others. A lot of folks want to do away with not arresting folks for drugs. I got the idea, and I would be okay with that.
But you're losing a tool.
If you could get that person help. We have so many parents that come in just on the marijuana. The kid's stoned all day long, can't study, doesn't study, doesn't want to do anything. It's in high school, but not getting it done.
Right.
Just stoned the whole time. Where's he getting the marijuana from? Why can't you get his dealer? Versus others that say you should let it alone. I got the issues with it all. It's just not that easy, because some parents want action taken with the guy who has the felony drugs. Can we find a way to get him out? If you don't arrest him, I have surely no control. But can we find a way to get that person help? That's the difficult way to try to get that worked out, and that's what hopefully we're going to be looking at in years to come.
I know that you were pushing hard for the Bridge Center and a couple of other projects and facilities and partnerships that were going to create venues to help folks who were just drug users.
Yeah,
Tell me how that's going.
Sure. With the Bridge Center is mainly those who are abusing drugs or alcohol to a really bad degree where they need a detox, but also Bridge Center is mainly for help patients with mental health,
right.
or mental health and drugs, which you normally see. And hats off to Charlotte Claiborne, the Bridge Board staff, and all those that got that going. And it's really working well.
Good.
And I think it's going to
Glad to
only
hear.
get better from here.
Wasn't it like 5,000 beds or something?
No, it's not that many beds. It's very few.
Okay, I
beds.
don't know where I got that.
That's a big number. You couldn't,
That's
you
not
couldn't
it.
house that number.
Okay.
But it's a manageable amount of beds that we're dealing with. So things are really working out well right now with them. We've also started the Stop the Loss program. I mentioned the domestic violence cases.
Right.
So remember we talked about brave and truce in the past.
Yep.
And how we try to rate folks that are in a gang or a group. Now it's Stop the Loss. When we see someone that's violating the domestic violence laws and abusing women for the most part, we look at their history. Have they used a gun? Have they strangled? To try to give them a level so that we as prosecutors know
Interesting.
this is the guy that you really need to deal with because his next encounter with that woman may be deadly.
Right.
Versus someone who, okay, did something wrong. We're going to deal with him in a different way. Can we get him and her help in counseling so it doesn't happen again? Because they're going back together again. Separating that level A, very dangerous, violent offender from B, C, and D.
And you've done excellent on the domestic violence world. I know you've given out stats that there initially weren't for several years.
Yeah.
You've been giving them out and kind of giving a grade or a post understanding to everybody what's going on.
Because it's important, and we have a lot of domestic violence cases. So we're also fortunate to open up the Family Justice Center, and that's a center where we're going to just treat and help those that are victims of trafficking and or domestic violence.
Thank God for y'all.
And it's going to be a capital area Family Justice Center where all the parishes that surround Baton Rouge, we're going to be able to send their victims there to get them treatment and holistic treatment. And we're also going to try to help the offenders so they don't come back again and offend again at a separate location.
Aren't we like a high number, ranked very high in the nation with sex trafficking?
Sex trafficking we are, but they're hard to find, hard to investigate, and hard to prosecute. We have a lot of language barriers on a lot of issues that we deal with.
Well, are you seeing a lot of Spanish-speaking folks coming from
Well,
South
not only
America?
Spanish, all kind of different
Right.
languages. Very difficult to find because of that. And they're transient and difficult to make cases. But the language barrier, I think, is huge for us. And having really cooperating witnesses also makes it very difficult.
But you're trying.
Absolutely.
What else good is going on that you can end the show with? It sounds like y'all working your heinies off.
Yeah.
Are you able to get the support you need?
I think we have as much support as we can get under the circumstances. Like I
Any
mentioned,
shot at taxes being proposed or
No,
additional money's coming your
taxes
way?
is a bad word, but we're applying for grants right now. Yeah, we have 3 or 4 grants in the works right now that we hope that we're going to get. And people have been very helpful in giving with their money on private type grants to help us work our way through the problems that we're seeing right now. So we're fortunate here.
Fantastic. Hiller, thank you very much.
Glad to be here.
Pleasure having you
Take
back
care.
on the show.
All right.
This is Locke Meredith with Hiller Moore, East Baton Rouge Parish District Attorney. Thank you for being with us.